Welcome back to another episode of the Black Cinema Experience
Podcast.
I'm your girl, JB.
And I'm Cameron.
And we're back with another exciting episode. We decided this week we're going to talk about a documentary that is now currently streaming on HBO called BS High. Cameron, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you think BS High is about? How did you perceive this documentary? And this is based on a true story. It's a documentary, so it's all real life, y'all. So
and it's current. So it's just got done.
Nothing is crazier than the truth. Nothing is crazier than reality. Oh. So let's get into that part of it. But Cameron, what did you think about this documentary when you watched it?
I thought it was very well made. I was so glad the story was told because the tomfoolery that was happening, I just feel like I just couldn't believe that this happened in 2000.
The tomfoolery?
The tomfoolery.
Are you saying that there are shenanigans in this documentary?
Shenanigans. It's drama. It's the coonery buffoonery, as some people like to call it. And it's a lot of conning. So it brought the drama. I can definitely say that.
The coonery buffoonery lets me know that you're raised around grown adults, and I'm here for it. Coonery buffoonery.
That's what it was.
Ay.
Anytime you exploit black people, it's coonery buffoonery to me.
Okay, so that's a wonderful point. A quick synopsis of this documentary. Essentially, a coach named Roy Johnson, he finds some players, he creates a school, he tries to profit off of it, but he ends up basically getting kids hurt, breaking laws that didn't yet exist, so basically making Ohio State write new laws, and just doing the impossible. We've seen it in the past. I don't know, have you ever heard of that news story about the kid who became a doctor?
Yeah, the white girl who killed hundreds of black kids.
Actually, no.
Oh, I just about the white nurse. That's on HBO now. She killed over 100 black children, saying she was a nurse or a doctor.
No, I was talking about the black kid that was pretending to be a doctor at a hospital, and he was really seeing patients and really prescribing medicine, and they were he was like a full-fledged doctor. Nobody knew. He opened his own office. He had his own practice.
That is crazy.
Okay, so that's what I said when I watched it for the first time. BS High is essentially that to the maximum potential. The maximum potential. Now, Roy Johnson is a coach, and
he's
seemingly...
not a coach.
Okay.
He says he's a coach, so I'm not sorry. Because even that had me confused.
He's not a coach, but he was trying to appear as a coach, okay? To guide these young men that had already somehow or somewhat missed their opportunity in high school, right? To make it in professional sports, in football specifically. And there's no way to tell this story about Roy Johnson being a scammer besides addressing the other school that he did it to compete against. IMG, which is it's a sports academy for kids where they go and they get great and they do wonderful things. He basically made a knockoff version of that. He did some nigga shit. And I have to pass the ball to you because I have too much to say on it. I don't want to take it all. I really want you to tell me from watching this documentary, what was your takeaway about this person? What was your takeaway on Roy Johnson as a coach? Is it Roy Johnson?
Yes. I think my main problem is that I feel like, yes, it was wrong, but I feel like it's the American way. You find a loophole and you exploit it.
I love that you just said that. Wow, we're more on the same page than I thought we were about to be disagreeing.
No,
it is the American way.
I'm not saying I agree with. Well, I agree with it as far as if you can exploit the system and not hurt people, then okay, do what you do.
Because isn't the gag of the system the fact that it doesn't work? So finding a loophole to make it work for you is basically how the 1% even exists.
Yeah, essentially, yes. That's literally all they do. So I understand that aspect. To me, I get the kudos to people who can think outside the box. How can I break the rules without breaking the rules?
Right. Do you know how well you need to know the rules to be able to break them so flawlessly? He didn't break any of the rules.
He kept saying, "Where's the rule?" So I'm like, "So you studied them." That's the crazy part.
The things that black men will put their effort into. Okay. He could have.
He could have been an amazing coach.
He could have did what Omar Johnson is doing. The guy, Dr. Umar.
Yes.
The one that's like, I'm funding a school for black kids, and I'm doing this, and let me raise money. He could have did that route. He didn't do that route.
That's already been done.
Yeah. It's already been done, which is why he had to think outside of the box. I mean, with this documentary, one thing that I just want to acknowledge about Roy Johnson is that if he didn't fail, right? If he would have been backed by his community, if he would have been backed by sponsorships, if he would have been backed by donations, like how white people are backed when they start something brand new, wonderful.
Yes.
If he would have been backed, then maybe we would have saw that he wasn't the villain that we just saw.
Yeah.
The thing about it is he was only a villain because he wasn't successful. If he had financial backing and he could have employed the proper staff and he could have made proper living arrangements for these kids and he could have created the proper education system in school for them, then they would have been successful. He would have been successful at his pursuit of getting these kids into D1 schools. I mean, he'd already got it on ESPN, right? You had already did so much. You were making headway. If you were successful in your pursuit, you would be a hero right now and not a villain.
Yeah.
The thing is, people are already skeptical of black people doing good things. So they were going to look into you. You were going to be called out for being fraudulent. But do I think that other people, white people, have done similar things and have just made it further past the finish line before being called out? And by the time that they were called out, they already had enough backing to say, this is legit.
They made the establishments and the rules and made the guidelines after they did what they did to get there.
Because you have to do illegal shit. Well, you don't have to do illegal stuff. That's not true. You don't have to do legal stuff, but I think I think again, the loophole thing, I think that there's a lot of times where you have to break the rules to be able to make it somewhere. And when you are a black person fighting for black kids, you are breaking those rules. Like you have to find the rules and you have to break them. Mm-hmm. There's just no other way that you're going to get through the system without doing that. You know, like, because white people exploit black children all the time. Yeah. They have their connects, they have their plugs, they pay for their kids to get into college, they do whatever they do to get to where they have to go. So I honestly think that he got caught out so quick and so early on in this scam, and he could have been more successful if he wasn't black. If people didn't already have natural suspicions of black people. This story to me is a lot to do with race.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even one of the journalists said, like, oh, why this story, like, this only could have been done with black kids.
Yeah.
Period. Like, you couldn't have done this with white kids. You couldn't have done this with any other race besides black kids. And I thought that was I kind of wanted to cry because I was like, that's so true. Like, you can only exploit black people and not have, like, really any consequence.
Yeah.
Because, and that's one thing I disagree about, the whole exploitation part. Like, I agree with you as far as, like, if he had been successful,
he'd be a hero right now.
He would have been a hero. I feel like the difference was because of his, like, egotistical.
Yeah,
like,
he mishandled.
Yeah, like, just him as a person, he didn't have the right motives. So I feel like he would have had the right motives. If it wasn't about making his name great, he actually probably would have been very, very successful if he had focused on the kids. But the only part of the reason why I just don't feel like he deserves any praise because he really is, like, a crook, especially the part where he found out he beat his girlfriend in front of the students. And he was, like, terrorizing the kids. That's the part I was like, okay, you're, like, a monster. Yeah. But as far as we're talking about the system, as far as, like, how people exploit the system, I don't have a problem with that at all because well, let me put that in context. Because when you if you operate outside the rules that were set and it's not illegal, then technically you're doing what, like you said, every other billionaire has done.
Literally. You have to create rules.
And then that's when you do it, and then people create rules to, like, counteract that.
Period.
But literally, we only have these rules because people did something outside of the rules they had and became rich and wealthy, and they were like, well, we don't want anybody else to do it, you know. So
I mean, honestly, I work in an industry where after we find out about certain claims, we create certain exclusions to make sure that we never cover that incident again.
But that's illegal.
Yeah. So you live in Fire County, California, and it's 100 degrees, and there's 100% chance that your building's going to catch on fire. We make sure we have an exclusion about wildfires for your policy because we want you to pay us, but we're not going to cover that event. people have no idea what's really involved in these things that they sign up for, which takes me to the point of he picked the right community to do this to. He definitely chose Black kids to exploit. But on one hand, and I'm sorry to do this, but I saw that he was an egotistical maniac. I saw that. I believe it, and I know he was crazy. But I do believe as well that his intention was to create opportunities and to create something different. I think, again, and I'm thinking maybe too far ahead in this, but if he was not stopped, if he never got caught up in his stuff, he would have taken a whole generation of underprivileged Black kids coming from nothing and got them into D1 schools. And that would have been the success story. His name, even though it's like the egotistical part, he wanted his name to be famous. And I believe that no matter what, that's what he wanted, because he seemed to be okay with the infamy. But I also believe that he wanted his name to be attached to a legacy of sending Black kids who are otherwise, hopeless in their hoods, and creating new multimillionaires and things of that sort. And obviously that's going to pay itself because there is a benefit in doing that. But for me, I honestly believe deep down that there was actually good intent behind his malicious behavior.
Well, absolutely, because there's 2 points I want to bring up. The first one is that, like you said, well, first of all, why are there no programs like that specifically for Black kids when we know they are sports commodity? Now we know there are so many sports programs that they have,
little summer activities, 2 week camps,
but nothing. But again, not to my knowledge, like, even with IMG, it's not specifically for Black kids.
Yeah,
and those facilities aren't run by Black people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like,
come on,
we're like, why don't we have our own? But anyway, that's the first question. So he's trying to create that. My second thing is that my problem is I do believe what you're saying, because had he had, like, say for instance, had he won ESPN, the sponsorships would have come in. And he would have got the money, and I feel like he would have started paying. Like, now again, I don't know. We don't know Roy, because I do think he was like different. He was like a very egotistical maniac to me.
All legends are.
But again, I'll just say, because he's not doing, like you said earlier, he's not doing anything that people haven't done before. Because there's so many stories. Even now, you hear about certain people were in a drug. They sold drugs or something.
Rappers.
Well, not just rappers, but like rappers aren't. They just sell them, but the suppliers that we know, different people that supply the drug, like, they start off doing wrong things, but then they catch up, and they start getting things together, and then they end up being these great people. So I think it's kind of like I can't say for sure, like, that he was like, he's just this evil person. Yeah. Except for me, the thing that made it evil for me was the domestic violence. I was like, okay, he's messed up. Like, obviously, that's what I was like, okay, something's wrong with this.
That and the homeless situation too. Yeah, the kids joining in, helping him beat the homeless guy up. It's like, okay, so you're literally a project baby, and you're trying to mentor other kids out the hood, but you have project baby tendencies.
But again, that's literally same men that are billionaires do the same thing. Like,
and I'm only going to say this one time on this channel, because this channel is not about that. But I am going to say it, and don't hate me, because I know you don't hate me, but Black men are sometimes, not you, Cameron, you're different. Black men sometimes are the biggest victim while simultaneously being the biggest perpetrator.
Well, yeah.
They are the ones that are like, the system is out to get me, while they, abuse their women, while they are... Exactly, participate in the benefits of that system, right? So it's really hard to watch this, because I'm seeing this person who, I want to root for you because the system is against you. Naturally, I want you to help these kids get these opportunities that they otherwise would never receive. But at the same time, I'm watching you abuse the system, abuse these kids. You're making them play every day. You have no rules. You're lawless. You're not paying for hotel stays. You're basically giving these kids traumatic experiences. And I'm saying kids loosely, because these are adults, right? They're like low-key on the later 18, age, 19, exactly, of this age frame. And and as much as they were traumatized, they did live it up. They were in hotels, and before they knew that shit wasn't good, they seemed to be having a good time.
Well, most adolescents do. That's how they would act.
Yeah, like, I'm in a hotel, no rules, doing things with my guys. Like, big chilling. So I do see the both sides of the coin there, and also boo on the mothers and fathers of the kids that went to school for not doing their due diligence before releasing their kid anywhere. What? You didn't ask about tuition. You didn't ask about.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Like you were saying, like with people who are especially underprivileged, Black children, it's like, well, they're trying to get opportunity. Like, you know, a single mother got 4 kids. Like, yeah, take my son if it's gonna help me get into college. I'm seeing a meal ticket, you know, and not in a selfish way, but like in a way like, well, this will possibly be his way to finally get out of this, you know, like
not a meal ticket. Not a mom.
That's what Truman's mom was. Harris Truman, his mother was on the.
Well, don't call her out like that. Keisha may not like that. We don't want to cause any problems.
No shade to her. I'm just saying, like, you want to support your kids, and you're like, this is, when you really, especially a parent like that, she believed in her son.
Yeah.
You really believe that your child is talented. This might be their opportunity. So you're gonna, go against your intuition for that, hope.
Yeah. Real research exists.
No,
if this was 1970 and these parents were getting duped, I'd be like, dang. But also, they would have never got figured out because no computers, right? But this is 2000 and whatever year. I think it was 22.
It started in 2018, but it was like 2020. 21. Like
these parents they absolutely had tools and resources to find more information about where their kid was going. They should not have been so easily convinced. So I also want to put some of that responsibility back on the parents for not doing their due diligence. Because as a parent, I mean, you're looking at this school, you can't even go to campus, you're not even taking tours. So you're telling me you sent your kid to a school in a state away from you, and you ain't never been to the campus, you just signing papers and sending them off?
Well, you have to think about it, because when you're not getting no bill either, you're like, well, it must be legit, like they ain't charged me nothing yet.
That's
until
true.
you come showing that your child have PPP loan.
Okay. That's a whole other. When he said my mom said, I said, oh my God.
So you already getting crazy because you got an eviction notice under your name.
Why?
But I'm saying, like, when people, again, and we have to talk about, it's a certain demographic. It's not just like, like just run of the mill, middle class families. It's like usually, he said he was going through the hood looking for people playing football.
In the streets. He knew exactly who to take advantage of. He knew exactly who to exploit. And who would work harder for you than somebody who has nothing?
That's what it gets me. Like, because these boys, these young men, really were trying to put their all into it because they were like, I really want to be somebody.
It ended up breaking bones and ACLs and everything else. Like, and what's going to become of them? So that is the unfortunate truth about it. About what happened there, because if it was successful, then it wasn't successful. That's the long story short. Is it wasn't successful.
But we have seen evidence of it happening for others.
Again, if he was white, would he have even been questioned? Would there have been any concerns? I think that in doing his fraudulent activity, if he would have just tried a little bit more, a little harder on the legitimacy, like just get the permit that says you could be around kids. That's step one.
That's easy.
Step one. Maybe find a building you can rent out for the school so you can legitimately approach churches and other places for the funding of said school. Like, he just had to try a little bit harder on the legitimacy, which lets me know that since he didn't try it all, that it was indeed a scam, so his character is bad, but my heart wants me to say, like, I really do want to believe. I mean, look at me, the black woman supporting the black man. Oh,
despite all the
we can't even stop supporting
the horrible things this man does. She's like, wait, I just believe in my heart, and I believe it, and the things I believe it too. But at the end of the day, you gotta always deal with the bad, like again, like the mistreatment of the players, like the cussing them out. Because you're mad you're losing when you haven't trained them properly. Like, they over here eating pizza and pops every day. If
the money would have backed him, the treatment would have been fine. Pretend that this is Hugh Hefner and these are all his Playboy buddies, okay? And he's doing everything he wants to them, but then they don't get their paycheck. And now everybody is losing it. Like, the treatment here is horrible. He did this to me, he did that to me, he did this to me. If that check would have came, everybody would have been fine. Everybody fine. Same thing, same difference. These kids want this opportunity because it's supposed to be tied with all this glamour, which he offered and then never followed through.
But I think that's also the problem with the exploitation, especially of Black people, because literally money can mask Black people's pain. And and that is so sad. And like, even when they help you come like women have been paid off, unfairly for stuff because they have money.
Yeah.
But, and that's not right.
Yeah.
And especially with this case, like the fact that I agree 100%. Had he had the money, it would have been no problem, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like it would have been a completely different documentary. It would have been crazy. Like, how did this man come up with this idea, despite everything? Because we've seen it before. Like, so many different other celebrities, have had, domestic violence situations, have had drug charges. I'm not saying he had drug charges. I'm just saying, like, menacing things that they've done, but because they have money or something like backing them, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's swept up under the rug. So
I mean, think about how many legends that we've praised that have done terrible things to kids. Like Michael Jackson or R. Kelly or something like that.
It's crazy.
Like, there are a lot of people out there in the world that are not great to kids, but they might have some good intent. I think there's a combination of good and evil in the world that's really unfair, and I don't want to get too political about it, you know what I'm saying? But like Bill Cosby being a rapist, and then Bill Cosby also being a father figure, giving
an upstanding Black family on television.
He did so much good. It does not negate the bad. It's completely separate terms. But I mean, the truth behind it all is like Roy Johnson, he was doing something. It was a good intent. He made this blueprint of, I want there to be support for Black kids so they can have these opportunities when things pass them, when they have records, when they have poor education, when they have less, when they have less opportunities in general. And hopefully from him doing this horrible, horrible thing, somebody with the money to do something like Michael Jordan or Shaq or Magic Johnson or any of these niggas that definitely have the money to create a school from the bottom up. I mean, hopefully this will encourage them to do that for them. So, because there is money in it. If you are legit, there is.
And my thing is too, like I know there's celebrities like LeBron James who have schools and stuff like that. And I know they have scholarships and stuff like that. But I feel like just really, like, when we're gonna really put the money into our own,
right?
Like into our own, like, not like what I'm talking about is completely free for these Black children, because when y'all got hundreds of millions of dollars, you can spare $50 million. Again, I'm not saying you have to spend your money. I'm saying I feel like that's what I would do if I had that type of money.
Yeah.
Or just
but the thing is, they don't even want to do it unless you're already extremely talented.
Yeah.
Like, we need y'all to support the kids in the neighborhood that aren't necessarily going to be football stars. We need your money to help fund underprivileged kids who have a knack for sports that might be better at sports analysts or sports journalists. And we need you guys to create and fund these schools that will allow these opportunities for these kids to grow in that area that they love. It's the same thing with musical arts theaters and things like that. Like, I hear old comedians like Dave Chappelle, older comedians. He's not old.
I said Dave.
He too close my age for that to be real. But with Dave Chappelle, and he talks about his experience going to like a New York arts academy, high school. I'm like, there should be more of these. I mean, I'm a Californian who I didn't think that this was something that was possible. I'm a singer. You're a singer. We should have been at a performing arts.
Well, they have it in OSHA, but it's in Orange County.
Yeah. They don't make it available in underprivileged neighborhoods. So again, Roy Johnson's mission, essentially, at a core level, was honorable. Who he was, an egotistic narcissistic, made it a disgrace to what he was doing. But overall, he made a valiant effort. And hopefully it tells the community, hey guys, we should invest money in our community legitimately. We have the funds to do so. We have the means to do so. Let's do it. That's what I hope that this documentary showed people. Like, if you, a good rich person, let's say, you a good rich.
Or somebody who would just spare money to donate, like want to start a nonprofit to raise the funds for it.
Yeah, just
honorable person.
An honorable person. Someone that we respect in the community.
Yeah.
And Beyonce. I'm not saying that she has to because she has millions. I'm not making rich people responsible for all of America, but why wouldn't you be? You can afford it. We are struggling.
But even then, that's what I'm saying. Like, but people raise this money all the time. Like, why are they raising money for this? But I also I'm not trying to switch the conversation too abruptly, but I wanted to point, because you started saying about people who can be involved in sports but not necessarily be an athlete. because it goes to the question. So like, why do black men are just so like shoved down to this football plantation? Like it's like literally all black kids. Are like shoved into this football or sports plantation, which is like already like, overly competitive,
like oversaturated. Yeah, we have enough people doing certain things, but they don't want to. I think a lot of things with the black community, the black men in our community, has to do with like what other black men think. Like I think that black men are still valuing a lot of their, social worth on, okay, well, my friend thinks that this is an admirable profession, or being a football player is hard, or this is the only way to get millions, and it's like, it's not. Hard work and actual like showing up is just not a desirable profession. Like being a finance analyst or being a black man in IT, like these things to me are hot. I think that's sexy, but black men, they don't necessarily think it is.
Well, I also think it's like, because football, don't get me wrong, sports lovers, football is a great way to introduce discipline to children, because there's some of these black boys, that's all the discipline they get is from football. Yeah, that's so true. I don't understand that aspect of the physical exertion of discipline, and partially mental, but like where's our push for intellectual discipline? Like to be, because there's so many people who can play football that are also smart. Yeah, and you can be a smart football player. Like it doesn't just have to be just the sport though. It can be the mental and like the social emotional learning aspect of discipline.
That's why these schools need to exist. That's why we need schools specifically funded for underprivileged children with living, because obviously there's a lot that struggle with homelessness. So we need these charter schools or private schools, or whatever those schools are called, where you go away to them,
the continuation schools.
Like when you go away, like
boarding schools.
Boarding schools, yes. We need some boarding schools that are going to allow our kids to thrive in these environments. And even like I said, the sports thing, there's different avenues in sports. So they should have sports academies for kids that are thrilled by sports, but there needs to be open avenues for journalism, like for broadcasting, for, sports medicine. Yeah, all of that. There's so many venues for them to go down. So for them to be limited to just one thing, but it's not about that. We're not talking about it because it doesn't exist. Because niggas like Shaq and Michael Jordan are not giving their money to these things, but they should, and these things should exist. But again, like I said, with Roy Johnson, yes, he was a scammer, and what he did was not right. Bad boy, and then putting debt in kids' names and getting the PPP loans. This nigga was a nigga for sure. When they had all them images of him laying on the floor, I was like, this coach really don't do nothing.
Like he really is
not a coach.
A fraud.
Yeah, a parasite is what I would call him, because he was like, oh, you got some talent, I'm gonna leech off of you. It's quite unfortunate what happened to those kids under his watch. But again, if he had the proper funding, he probably could have actually got somebody in there who cared. And I think he was a crazy person, like a Kanye type. Because Kanye was so passionate, no one else could see it. Yeah. No one else could see it. He was passionate, and no one else went on his page. I think that the things he did was ridiculous, but I think that when you are trying to change the world, you have to be an extremist. So there's a part of me that believes those little things that he was saying at the end of that documentary was like, wait, you'll see. A part of me is like, shit, I can't wait for 10 years to pass for him to actually create these schools and actually legitimize it. I hope that this documentary gives him people that are going to help him legitimize his dream, because they see what I see.
Well, I don't know if they're going to give him the funds. But I will get somebody who has that same tenacity. Okay. The funds. Absolutely.
Yeah, Roy, maybe not you per se.
I was inspired by the idea. Yeah. Without the Connie. And without the destroying black families part. And started the school. I was like, okay,
Destroying black families is subjective. Because you parents had a job to research where you were sending your kids. That is very. You don't have any money, but this teacher is going to send, this coach is going to pay for your kid to come up here. Well, can the coach pay for my plane ticket to come check out the school? Because I need to check it out before I send you. You know, so again, there is negligence on that behalf. And how long are we going to allow the fact that you're coming from poverty be the reason why you make poor decisions? Like you might be poor, but you don't have to be stupid.
Yeah.
You know, you might not have money, but you don't have to always be available to be taken advantage of. So again, the parents failed their children.
Well, I definitely will say though, and I do agree. But when there is, especially, again, I believe in like overcoming the victim mentality. But I do also understand that there are different structures in place for poor people to remain poor. Like
yes, there are.
Like the different scams that they have in just the neighborhoods alone. Like you know, like paycheck advancing, payday, and stuff like that. Also, so I do believe like there are different ways that people try to manipulate poor people to con them, which is why this keeps happening. So I was really glad to see this documentary because it really sparked that idea, like you were saying, like why isn't it more schools like this to stop the combat, so people don't have to con to get these kids out of like these situations, you know? And again, and like maybe viewers at home like might know different schools where they're doing it, but not enough.
And I also I have to say this as well because this is essentially a second chance sports academy.
Yeah.
Another issue that I have with this is that these kids, sorry to say it, somebody's gonna say, now I'm the white man in the room. Here I go. But you didn't keep your grades up. You wasn't maintaining their 2.0. You wasn't hitting a C average. You was getting arrested and you was doing whatever you was doing. Your focus was not on your success. Okay? And at a certain age, it's no one else's responsibility to be responsible for your success. You can't keep saying forever, no one ever showed me. So I do have a little itty problem with the fact that these kids were essentially second chance kids. Like, guys, you can't just throw away your opportunities because you're good at football and then be like, the world should pave a way for me. No! I honestly believe if your grades ain't cutting the smuck, you gotta get out of here.
Especially in this education system, like it's the bare minimum. Especially, and I'm not saying I agree with that. It is. We all know why. It's because No Child Left Behind. While we dumb down everybody else, I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm just saying that you should have the capability to be able to get a C average.
Period. Your talent is not enough. Like when it comes down to American school systems, you being really great at something is not going to be a reason for you to pass your classes. Like, could you just imagine, like in the choir room, like, but I sing so well. Yeah. Why do I need to pass this class? It's like making that argument for your kid is just negligent. Like making the argument even in general, like, oh, well, my kid deserves a chance at football, even though he always failed his classes. Like if your kid really wanted to do football well, he would apply himself in school. I'm sorry. I just feel like, this whole second chance academy, I mean, there's so many more reasons why it was easy for him to exploit these kids, but one of them being that you guys thought that someone was going to hand you a D1 opportunity, but you couldn't even pass your high school math classes. You weren't even maintaining a 2.0 GPA, but somebody was going to come from nowhere and be like, I'm going to bless you with this second chance opportunity. Who do these people think that this man is? God? You didn't do your part.
That's true. I get it.
Why do black men? Ooh, this hurts so bad. And it could just be black people in general. So let me take the pressure off for y'all, okay? It's not just y'all. But why do black people think that such opportunities exist? If it's too good to be true, it is. Your kid is not getting out of jail and then getting called on to come to a school where he's about to get picked for D1 shit without some bullshit involved. And they're going to pay for it all. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, the scammer only scammed because they let him scam. A scammer's only as good as his plot and his plan. If you stupid, you done got. I'm sorry. It was too good to be true.
Yeah, that is true.
People from the hood always looking for a shortcut, an easy route, a blessing in disguise. If y'all don't get real, okay, I'm done.
No, you need to say it because we're discussing how we make
Because we're mad at the black community of this man for how he exploited the black community, but I'm mad at the black community so easy to exploit. Damn! No safeguards, no common sense. Everybody failing classes. Nobody got a job. We all coming out of jail doing drugs. Everybody just got, I got an opportunity at a D1 school. I'm going to get to D1 colleges. Yeah. Get real.
So it's kind of a little bit of entitlement in some of the youth.
Whew.
Well,
it's a little
the parent because that's how they're being brought up.
Entitlement, but also like just being foolish.
Yeah.
You know better. When has anything ever been handed to you on a silver platter?
Come on now.
Never. Never. I've never gotten anything easily. So you think you're special?
That's dang.
Okay.
I didn't think about it's a good point. I'm like
Cameron's like, I didn't think about this. Like, dang.
But I mean it's the math is mathing.
Yeah. Yeah. My kid wouldn't have been there.
No way.
Could have. Me at the school. We're in school. No, this is a sports zone. See, the soccer sign, it's not a school, baby. You can't go here. Where's your school?
Why are we so willing to trust anybody with our kids? It's also another like we just trust every person with our children.
They had 5 or 6, 7 kids. They trying to get rid of one. That's literally what that was.
Again, again, watch this documentary. It's more than meets the eye, definitely. You get to get the insight of something that huge, debacle because even the state of Ohio, the governor got involved. ESPN refused to comment because they actually aired this.
Because everybody was embarrassed by the lack of research that everybody did.
Literally.
Everybody was embarrassed.
At every level, from parents, well, to some journalists will try and call it out, but I mean, nobody ever wants to listen to a journalist into an actual story like uploads. But ESPN, no shade to them.
They were embarrassed.
but I mean, the state of Ohio, I mean, the school, Churches of
Faith or something like that. Embarrassed.
Bishop Sycamore, that's not the real school. The school they were trying to be affiliated with.
Yeah, embarrassed. Everybody's embarrassed. That's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, great documentary to watch, and I would say to watch it just because it's true. Yeah. No better reason to watch it besides the fact that we know that this shit actually, really, truly happened, and we get to sit down with the psychopath that did it in this movie. So I was
him telling his side, like him telling.
Period. But one thing I did really like about this documentary, because I didn't say nothing I liked about it, but cinematography wise, or actually no, let me actually not cinematography, graphic design wise, I really enjoyed how they brought up the kids, or what the grown men. How they brought up their stats like they would a sports player. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, Terrell, whatever. And then they had his like age and all that. Like they just like, they did it in a really cool way where their name was in front of them and behind them. And it just felt really sports center-ish. And I thought it was really nice and neat to do because obviously these kids are not going to be able to go into the professional sports league because of their 1 year at BS High and their injuries and things of that sort. But it was really nice to still see them have kind of like that little moment of like, look, I'm a sports player. Look how my name is showing. I thought that was really cute. And graphic design wise, that was actually one of my favorite things to see in this film.
Well, I did like that, like some of the boys that they did have, like they were able to overcome the situation. Like some of them are still in school, still playing football and stuff, and others got some of them got pretty good jobs. I want to try to be a firefighter and all that. Yeah. Stuff. So I do appreciate that aspect of them learning from that situation and still pushing forward. But again, I liked watching it.
I enjoyed it too because my mouth was your jaw was dry. My jaw was dry.
It took me through so many different emotions. I was like, wow, like very interesting story, and this is what I like to see.
Again, like there's only one man in America that can be a victim and a perpetrator, and that is the black man. He is the black man. Ugh, sorry, Cameron. I'm sorry because this ain't you. This ain't even you. I'm talking about you. You're different than the other ones.
No, we're still in the same category. I feel like there's a lot that we still have to unpack as black men, and like a lot of black men are unlearning and learning new things, and a lot of black men still do stay in certain, men in general, just stay in certain
mindset, right?
But I mean, I feel like a lot of black men are starting to become more conscious and understand like how to love themselves. And how to love black people and how to love where we come from.
Like the scene where the guy was crying and he was really
and there's something about a thug crying that makes it just also surreal because a thug's not supposed to cry, but you gotta let this man cry, So.
Seeing that made me want to give him more hugs because you don't know how to cry, baby.
Yeah, because he didn't know what I'm saying.
You don't know how to. Just do it. Just stop fighting the tears.
But it goes against that stigma of men aren't supposed to cry, especially with black men not being able to cry. So I love seeing it, and I love seeing like be able to see these black men like really obviously learn that they were duped, and then like again at the end like some
the players got played.
Overcoming.
The players got played. That's crazy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's.
You're right. They got duped. They got duped. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, but also like come to a position like that they have to fix it. So either I'm gonna go to school or I'm gonna get a job and try to do what I'm doing.
Because again, there's no easy routes in life.
But there's nothing you can do now. Like you got duped. You got to fight the man in court, obviously. But you still have to go continue to follow your dreams. I'm glad some of them still follow their dreams.
So if it was up to you, and you as the judge, how many years or any years would you give Roy Johnson?
Well, if I had to, first of all, if I was including like, you're not supposed to include different biases. But I was including the fact that he did have these kids fight somebody like a homeless person, and that he beat his wife, he'd be under jail. but if we were judging strictly on the con artistry, you have to go by the law. So the laws that weren't broken, I can't fault him for that.
Honestly, he's in America, the land where we dream, etc. Like where your dreams come true. If I was only going to comment stuff, disregard the DV and the abuse of the homeless man, taking it out, and also disregard the financial debt citations and all the unpaid.
That's how we get him on. Like what you owe, you gotta pay that back.
Period. He would be, but how's that nigga? Whoa! I just became a white man for real. How he gonna pay back all that debt though? Okay.
I mean, that's why they put you in jail.
Exactly.
But that's why you would get your.
But then we pay money for him as a society. I'm sorry, because he's not making the money. What?
Well, don't get him for slave labor. Like you have a job that you get paid 10 cents a day for.
Yeah, when's that gonna equal $300,000?
Well, it's gonna equal $300,000 for like the corporations that own that prison.
Yeah. At one point.
And they'll garnish his wages over years, so like that. They'll do all the different.
But
my thing is, I would just judge him based off of like what he owes, and then that's the legal part. Now, civilly, that's a whole different. They can sue him.
That's it.
Civilly,
but I would only judge him on what he owes too, because at the end of the day, again, if he was successful and had the financial backing that most schools do have, then there would be nothing to sue. If he would have opened a charter school legitimately, charged an X amount of tuition. He could have did all the things that he was doing, and he could have been legal and lawful with it.
Well, that's why he was able to do certain things he was doing, because like they're like, we're OSHA rules. He's like, well, I'm not part of OSHA.
Exactly.
You can't get him. Like, and it's sad. It's like, but you can't get him because he never told y'all he's part of OSHA. Y'all just went along with it.
That's a slippery fish. He's slippery. He's slippery.
So he's not a part of OSHA. So he's technically not even breaking the rules.
Right.
He's not a part of the OSHA. And that's what the journalists were saying. They were like, well, there are no rules because. Civilly, like, any upstanding person would just know you just go by the rules.
Ain't it the worst thing though? Because you know that scene where he's watching the iPad and he's seeing his kids talk about him, and they're saying these things like Coach Roy is evil, right? And he's like, man, fuck that. I was still working to get Pahokee a school, and I was still doing this and I was still doing that. There was a part of me that actually was like bleeding a little bit for that. I was like, damn, he really seemed like he really wanted good things for this kid. And there is a part of him that, like, underneath it all, again, I believe really wanted these kids to succeed. So I think that he was really heartbroken by the fact that they saw him as a failure. When in his mind, because we don't know his childhood, but he took kids out of homelessness and poverty, gave them places to stay, found a way, even as terrible as it was, fake ordering chickens and then calling and getting them later discounted. Like, even as terrible as that was, he was still doing his best. It's kind of like Tiana Taylor in 1001, where she kidnaps the kid and she starts raising him herself because she thinks she's doing it better than the sister.
I raised a good child. And I'm like, but you did wrong. That's the thing. What I'm saying, like, especially with black people, and again, not to put a double standard on them, but we live in a double standard society.
Okay.
Like, when you're a black person, you have to do things right because people are going to come for you and have that microscope on you, like. Unless you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Right.
And it's sad, but it's like, what do you expect? Look at the country we live in. Like, they're going, like, they're going to. We see it in sports all the time. Like, this Negro's running too fast. He has got to be on steroids.
Check him.
Like, this girl, she's doing too good. So she smoked weed. Out of here.
Shakari.
But how how many athletes you know personally? I say no names that smoke weed have done. I know people done worse.
Right. But we, again, it's like the same thing with policing. We're only checking the black people. Stop and frisk matters, but stop and frisk only matters because we're not stopping and frisking white people. We're stopping and frisking black people.
And when they found more weapons and stuff on white people than they did on black people, that's a whole nother situation.
That's a whole nother situation because we know who the criminals are. It ain't us, but that's another conversation. Sometimes it is us, but I mean, like, if you really were to put us side by side, we're all doing the same shit. We are the ones getting policed for it. They are not. So when it comes down to him breaking all these regulations and things like that, if he was white, no one would have policed him until 5 years in after he had already gotten legitimized by the backing and the support and by this fundraiser and that. He would have already been legitimized. But because he was black, he was stopped at every turn. But I also know that he wasn't legitimate. But that is business in America. We are not legitimate until we have the money to be. It takes money to make money. How do you think they get the money? Illegal practices. That is how people make money in America. You do it illegally, you get enough money, now you can do it legally. Now you can pay the people to make sure that everything is well.
Get an accountant.
Yeah. That's all it takes. And an advisor. That's all that it takes. But overall, again, sorry.
No.
I'm dragging this on here. Documentary was excellent. True story. Please watch it. BS High on HBO Max. Cameron?
Again, I really want to hear from like you all if you have any resources that we can help, some people get second chances. The ones that deserve to get that therapy.
We want resources. I want to hear what y'all think about this man because I want to know, do y'all think that he is a villain or do you think that he was a narcissistic hero? Because I think that he was a hero. I think that he has the same energy that Kanye has. I want to hear what you guys think about it. That's all that I have.
That's all I have.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast. I'm your girl JB, and this is Cameron. Thanks again for watching.